Hey guys, my name is Quagersall. Welcome back to another EU4 development diary video. Today is the fourth development diary for EU4 1.31, and we're going to be looking at Majapahit. They've done a lot with Majapahit. So if you're not familiar, Majapahit used to have a big old empire across Southeast Asia. It's been a century since they were at that peak with this Gajah guy. And after he left in disgrace, things are starting to fall apart, and that's where we pick up in 1444. We're talking about they're trying to make it so that you break apart, and he says it's a unique disaster that puts you on the road to total collapse if not managed correctly. And 5 stab and 50 legitimacy, that's pretty big. Intentionally one of the most difficult disasters in the game, immediately tanking your stability and legitimacy, while also adding a modifier that increases all power costs by 15% and monarch lifespans by 50% reduction, increase liberty desire by 15%. So you're trying to get everybody to break out of you, and you to collapse to this. This is the worst. Above is the worst case scenario. These two guys break out, and you're just sitting here with these three, and your other tributaries go away. But not all is lost. There's a mission tree for it. There's a few interesting things that get talked about in here. The Muslim merchants coming to help is one thing. But also at some point in here, he mentions that you're now allowed to have tributaries if you're in the Chinese tech group, regardless of religion. Which means you could flip Christian, possibly, go become the Holy Roman Emperor, and then still have tributaries out east, which is interesting to me, very interesting to me. But anyways, new mission tree. Basically, these 4 missions right here, or these 3 missions and this mission here, deal with the end of the disaster and getting in order and preventing this collapse. Then you start branching out. Now, unlike most mission trees that give you either subjugation CBs or permanent claims, they talk about in here that there's a little bit different here. Majapahit gets its own unique Majapahit Campaign Cb. It's similar to the subjugation CB, but it has no time limit, which is obviously a buff, but the war score cost is only a 25% discount, so that's obviously a nerf. So it's weird. They want you to eventually, if you can get past the disaster, they want you to eventually be able to take over all of Nusantara, all of the Indonesian islands. But they want it to take time and be a little bit harder. So I find that interesting. But the really cool thing is you eventually, once you complete Gajah Mada's oath by forming Malaya, you unlock CBA use against all nations in the Chinese culture group. So you could subjugate the collapsing people that are coming out of Ming. You can eventually get the mainland mission improves final time CB without restrictions. If that means I can subjugate England, or like the Emperor of the HRE and that kind of thing, as long as I get them down below 125% war score, or whatever it would be to reduce it to that 100, that's going to be nuts. But anyways, there's another couple interesting things here for people who like to play Hindu. There's a mission here that unlocks a new deity of Buddha, because Hindu and Buddhist synchronism was a thing in the area. Tolerance of heathens and decrease your advisor cost by 10% might actually be good, because you're going to have a lot of Muslim coming into your lands, and you're Hindu, and then there's Buddhism you're going to be conquering. There's a lot of different religions in the area. Let's see, you can make yourself immune to the effects of propagate religion, and you unlock propagate religion trade policy, and it seems to be regardless of what religion you are. So you might be able to propagate Hindu, which is an interesting change. You want an easier colonizing time, that's good. Award a bonus, permanent bonus to your colonial range and trade efficiency. Yeah, you're going to want to fill up the islands, eventually get Australia, that kind of thing. Oh, and this is the really cool one. You have a mission to restore the trade fleet. So what happened is, if you're not familiar, there's a guy named Zhang He who came out of the Ming Dynasty, and he had big treasure fleets. He was a pirate admiral, kind of in the parlance of EU4, and he had these huge trade fleets. They went all the way as far as like Madagascar and Africa, and they did a bunch of trading and a bunch of raiding and that kind of thing, and they're part of the reason why the Majapahit dynasty collapsed. So if you can disrupt this, you get a permanent modifier, increase your naval morale, blockade efficiency, and blockade impact on siege. Pretty important in Indonesia. And then you're going to need this because the Great Blockade mission tasks you with blockading the entire coast of Ming China. But if you do this, you get permanent claims on the entire coast of Ming China, which is freaking crazy. It's the only permanent claims in the mission tree as far as I can tell. And then apparently these rightmost missions here, everybody in Southeast Asia gets these missions for taking specific provinces, and they probably have goods produced bonuses or something of that nature. They talk noteworthy for specific trade goods. Also, another thing here, completing the enforced loyalty mission converts all of your current tributaries into vassals, which is nuts. And you would think maybe you should wait and not run this demand loyalty until you can get bigger and get a bunch of tributaries all around you. But I think you're going to want to complete these three and get the prevent collapse going, because there's going to be a lot of people trying to break out of you, a lot of events that kill off your rulers and give you a bunch of rebels and that kind of thing until you run this mission here. Very interesting. And then also, idea set. So if you guys have played in this area, you'll know that Majapahit currently has a very generic idea set. Nothing major. This idea set, a little bit better than the one we saw for the Khmer and Siam and them last week. AE impact is always good. There's morale. You get a colonist, which I think might have already been there, but it's very important that it's there. Reduced liberty desire. They seem to have everybody around here set up to try to vassalize a lot of people, which I support because that's definitely what I do. It's not super strong. I would put this as a mid-tier idea set. Advisor cost as the finisher is, you're not going to need money that much by that point. But it's always a nice bonus. You can run level 4s and 5s a little earlier. Heavy ship trade power will help you combat the colonizers as they try to come in. There's some interesting stuff here. 2% global missionary strength would be good for cleaning up yourself. Diplo annexation cost, again for vassals. It's not bad. But that's it. That's a short and sweet little dev diary, just focusing on Majapahit. They mention right here that we're going to be looking at Khmer. It wasn't Khmer, it was Ayutthaya that we looked at last week. And then I'm hoping they pivot into like 2 more of these, and then some mechanics changes, and we get like this is when the patch is going to hit. Because I have a feeling that this patch is not a DLC. That has not been confirmed, because they haven't mentioned anything about whether there's going to be a DLC, whether it's going to be paid or free. But they kind of have, because you see things like this. If you look in mission trees currently, the ones that were in part of Emperor and you needed the DLC do not say this. The ones that came as part of the 1.30 patch and didn't need the DLC say this, which indicates Majapahit is free. Now, I would need to look on the previous week to determine if Ayutthaya is free and that kind of thing. And sure enough, right there, free equals yes. So that's a really good indication that this patch may just be a free patch, which is great. It's consistent with their pattern in the past as well. It's another reason why I think that. But, you never know with Paradox. They like to change things up a little bit. They could have made this like a third Rome kind of immersion pack, that kind of thing. We'll see. But I'm hopeful that it will be just a free patch. And I'm also hopeful that Majapahit is going to get its own achievement for trying, because this seems to be, I really like the post right here that this guy says. It says, rip AI Majapahit. Sure, yeah, I think they're going to fall apart a lot. But it says, this looks like an interesting campaign forced into the deep end like few countries are, which is exactly what I'm thinking. This is the game is going to try to kill you immediately, and if you can overcome that, you've got great places to be, but it's going to be hard to get there, which very much interests me. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about 1.31, if you're excited to play out in this area. Also, what you think I should play in my first campaigns in the area, and check out the other Dev Diaries videos if you're looking to get caught up on 1.31. Links are always in the description. I'll keep every week's links in the description of the newest one, and then there's a playlist and that kind of thing. And let me know what you guys would like to see about 1.31. I want to try to explore this patch because I don't think this area of the world gets enough focus from people, and it's really fun to play out here. This is where you play if you like the trade system in this game and you want to really dominate early navally. And these are two things that people shy away from, but the game gets really good once you start exploring all of its facets. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next Dev Diary video. Bye-bye.